Birthday to Madeline, and then she's absent today. So today we're just finishing up the examples in the workbook, and then you'll have your opportunity to do your homework. Probably not this class period, but for home, you know. Anyhow, so we're picking up with number 2. Well, you guys should have it written down at least, Samuel. I have it written down, but I don't remember why. We completed the square. We got them both into their proper form. So on these, you need to have the additional room. You need to get them into standard form. Let's go ahead and put the phones away now. So number 2, we need to pull everything to the right side. So I'm pulling all of this. I want it to be y equals. So I'm going to pull all of that to the right side. And we did y equals x squared minus 4x plus 6. Then we completed the square on that. So half of 4 is 2. So we're going to add 2 squared and subtract 2 squared from the same side. From the same side. And that's a different technique that I was showing you. We've now completed the square. And 6 minus 4 is 2. So here we have an upright parabola, a vertical facing up parabola with a vertex at 2, 2, and no a value, which makes our lives a little easier. Then on this one, I'm just going to subtract x from both sides, and I have y equals negative x plus 4. So if my vertex is at 2, 2, and it's facing upright, that's in the first quadrant. So I'm going to make my first quadrant the main feature of this graph. Make my first quadrant the main feature of this graph. So I'm going to go ahead and maybe make my xy coordinate plane with a very prominent quadrant 1. Because my vertex is in quadrant 1, that means my parabola will be mainly in quadrant 1. That's not necessary, but so I'm making my quadrant 1 graph. Vertex was at 2, 2. Thankfully, since we can make our own graph, we don't have to count by 2's. And then as we design our parabola, we go out 1, up 1. Out 1, up 1. Remember, it's a parabola with an a value of 1. Out 1, up, out 2, up 4. Then out 3, up 9 is not going to work, so I'm just going to leave it at that. I'll draw my parabola in just a second. Well, I guess I'll draw it now. That is a wavy parabola. I didn't care for that parabola in the slightest. There we go. That's a better parabola. All right. Then our line goes through where on the y-intercept? 4. So we already know, hey, we already got one point that it crosses. Goes through 4, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, we don't. No. And then its slope is what? Down 1 over 1. Down 1, right 1? What do you mean? So remember what that, it's going to, negative slope means a downhill line. We read left to right. So downhill is always going to be like that. Japan, they read from right to left, but we are not there.
I was just going to say Japan book.
You're all right, Sydney. Okay, so what are the 2 places that it crosses at? 1, 3. 1, 3 and 2, 2. There are my 2 solutions. The 2 places that it crosses at are 1, 3 and 2, 2. Look, read, digest, ask questions if necessary. I've got some American translated manga novels, so.
Did you read like? Because you have to read like up. No, you have to.
No, it's still
down.
It's still read down, but
Like then you go to this
You
page.
start from the upper right. You start in the upper right corner. You go left. You just go like this.
And then you flip the
So, Sydney, it's just different from what you're used to. Shh. Okay, by the amount of talking, I assume that we understand. Lexa's aggressive today. Okay. Okay. And don't forget, Amanda, I already posted the first part of the lesson last night on Google Classroom. So, as well. I mean, I don't mind you hearing it from Gabrielle. Forgot your name for a second. I don't mind you hearing it from Gabrielle, but it's also there in case you need more. Okay? Oh, come on then. It's been up there for a while, Jaden. It's got to go away. I've got to start the next question. Here, I'll shrinkify it. I don't know, Stephanie. I really hope that the microphone caught that noise. I want you guys to watch the lesson.
I don't believe you can do that noise on purpose.
Okay. Said some sort of dying beast.
You did it while turning around too.
I know it was.
It like got louder as you turned around.
That was That was unidentifiable noise.
It's just gonna be super loud on me.
We'll need to get the Steve Irwin has passed away years ago now, but why did you hear that? Shh. We don't know what kind of beasts are in the classroom at the moment. Was that some sort of mating call or death wail? We need to get a closer look to find out. All right. Okay, guys. We need... Yeah. So number 3. We're now solving algebraically or solving through substitution. So we're going to use the methods, the 5-step method I wrote down in your notes. Okay, carefully going through. So we're going to take our line. Our line is 9y minus 6x equals 0. We are going to solve for one of the variables. This entire period, I've got it booked. We're just going to go nice and slow through these examples. We're going to solve for one of the variables, substitute it into the other one, and then continue the process. So, you want it to be y, Adrian? All right. So, Adrian already picked y. So, 9y minus 6x, so we're taking our line. We're going to solve it for y. It doesn't matter. The first step's going to be the same no matter which one we're solving it for. Let's get them on opposite sides of each other. Add what? Add 6x. Yeah, let's get everything positive. I like that idea. 9y equals 6x. Okay? So now we want to solve for y, so we're going to divide both sides by 9. Let's go and reduce that. What's 6 over 9 reduced to? 2/3. So we have 2/3 of x. So that's what y is. Y is 2/3 of x.
And then you plug in y.
And then we're going to plug this value in to there. That's going to take some room, so hopefully we're not trying to squeeze this on the worksheet.
Wait, I kind of got a question.
Yes, sir.
So if you substitute for x, is it 2/3 x or 2/3? Like if you substitute for x, it's 2/3 x?
Yeah, so this will become 2/3 x, and then the squared will still be there. So after the substitution, we're going to have x squared over 45. That didn't change. Plus, the y becomes 2/3 x squared all over 5. So the y changes into our substitution value, 2/3 of x. So just got to stop the music. No, we need to adjust it before we get a common denominator. We don't necessarily even have to get a common denominator. We'll go through some possible tips and tricks here. First of all, what is 2/3 squared? 4/9. We have a fraction divided by a number. Do we remember what we do?
You make the denominator. Multiply by 5.
Yeah, we just multiply those. What's 9 times 5? Yes. The square applies to each item, including the x. So the x still has a square. Yeah.
So now it's 5x squared equals 1. Or 5x squared over 45.
Yeah.
Remember the good old days I could watch TV and learn how to count.
Team Zoo.
I'm going to give a 30-second pause in case I'm going faster than some people can write.
So that's the answer.
Don't ask me that, Samuel. The answer will be what, Samuel? Coordinates. I better end at coordinates. And by the way, x squared over 45 plus y squared over 5 equals 1 is an ellipse. So now we've got an ellipse, right? Pretend that's an ellipse. And a line can cross it how many times? 0, 1, or 2 times, right? But it looks like we're gonna get 2 values for x. So this is gonna be one of the cases where we get 2 solutions, right? So it's gonna cut through. It's a positive slope line, so it's gonna cut through somehow twice through this ellipse. So we're gonna get 2 solutions. They won't be pretty, maybe. Don't know. We're working on them. There are too many steps. Not there is.
Bro, you're not an English teacher.
Yes.
That's why half of us
Let
know
Mr.
what
Jones
to
teach.
Divide 6x like besides the 9. We're gonna get the same.
Same answers. You will. That's French fries. Yes, fried potatoes. Fritas is fried. Papas is potatoes. Fried potatoes. French fries. Done. Okay.
You guys are saying that it's not right.
Papas fritas. She was making fun of my last name. It was only fair.
Mexican.
Bilalta Frias is not Papas Fritas.
No. Your name's not Papas
That's
Fritas.
what he said.
No, she made
You're,
fun of my last
why are you making fun of her last name?
She was making fun of his last
That's not true.
Hey, what? Golden rule. What you do? Just because somebody does it to you, don't do it to somebody else. Okay? It's over now. All right, guys. Let's tune back in. Shh, Ingelsma. Okay. 5x squared over 45 equals 1. I'm just continuing this up here, okay? So, because I need to continue going down. What do I do to get x by itself? By 45, guys. Multiply by the denominator.
What?
What do you mean what?
Why would you multiply? Oh, to get rid of the 45.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant like the actual just x by itself. Okay.
Good luck. Wait till we hit number 2.
It's 3.
Divide by 5 first.
Bro, I got it. X is 3. We already did number 2.
Now. Okay, we've got our 2x values, positive 3 and negative 3. We're going to substitute those back into over here, and we're going to get our y values.
Whack. Whack.
Replace.
Wax smack.
Wax smack. Wax smack. Jack attack.
That's another Sydneyism brought to you by. Okay.
Yo, wax smack.
So plugging in x, so we have y equals 2/3 times 3. And y equals 2/3 times -3. Those cancel. Y equals 2. Those cancel. Y equals -2. So this crossed at 3, 2.
Why is it negative?
Yeah, why is it negative?
A positive times a negative.
Wait, but then how does the 3 cancel out with the -3 if the negative?
The negatives doesn't cancel out. Negative's still there.
Where do we
The
get
3.
y equals 2/3? That's where I'm at right now. So we're saying that.
I like your question more than anybody else's.
Wow.
So it crossed at 3, 2, and it crossed at -3, -2. Those are the two solutions.
Can you graph it?
Sure, well, you can use Desmos anyways.
Yeah. I want to see like the circle.
I like Desmos. It's like that one girl just having a affair
That
with.
one wall.
That one wall. That one parent I just never had. Good old Desmos.
Did Mr. Reed use it a lot last year?
No,
How'd you guys know about it then so much?
Because it was like, because Desmos had a scientific calculator. You could put any equation in and it'll give you the answer.
But I mean, how'd you guys just learned it on your own?
I just
That's
looked
awesome.
up- if you look
This
up-
year.
if you
I know
look
I
up-
learned it because of you.
No, if you look
Me?
it up-
Okay.
If you look up calculator, it's like the third option.
Yeah, my because I don't know, those of you who had me for geometry know how much I used or Algebra 1. I used Desmos a lot.
what about most Des?
I'm doing it. It's the I'll go back to it in a second. Get it from a friend if you need to.
Cocaine.
No, how do you get the squared on there?
Hmm?
How do you get the squared?
Oh, I just know my shortcut
I gotta show
for my
you.
keyboard. So we have our ellipse crossed by a line.
How do you know it's an ellipse?
I'm gonna show you.
Oval.
It's like sweet.
It's an ellipse.
What's like the actual definition?
How do I well an ellipse is all the points equidistant from two loci on a plane. So basically if you ever want to draw a perfect, ladies and sir, there's way too much conversation going back there and not enough learning. If you ever want to draw a perfect ellipse, what you do is you get two set points. Like if you were to take a piece of paper, put it down, and then take a pin and put 2 pins in it. And then you take a string and you tie a string to those 2 pins, but don't make it tight, make it loose. And then you go ahead and you tighten it by going out, like make a little triangle by poking it out, and then just keep the string tight and go all the way around. You will make a perfect ellipse every time.
Really?
We do that as like a fun day.
If I'll never have the time. I've slowed it down. We've got this time now. Whatever that beeping is needs to stop. So, anyhow, I knew, by the way, Alexa, we're not going to get into conic sections in this, I don't think in this school year. I know this is an ellipse because of the fact that I have an x squared and a y squared on the same side. They are adding and they don't have the same coefficient. That means I will have an ellipse. Hmm? That's the way of the what? Oh yeah, the solar system is elliptical-ish. The solar system doesn't follow Euclidean geometry necessarily. Okay. When I go back to here, guys, we're just going to have a few minutes that I'll leave it up on the board before I copy that over. So not even a few minutes. It'll be like 1 minute. If anybody has to copy anything. I don't see anybody writing, actually, so I think everybody's got it. Okay. So here. Ooh, that's a little too big. All right, Alexa, we've got a circle, guys. Actually, all of us from 4-1. We have a circle centered at the origin with a radius of the square root of 101, which, don't know what that is. It's 10 point something small. Yes?
Would that mean this one would be in the eclipse or whatever it's called?
It has x squared plus y squared on the same side, but the coefficients are the same. They both have a 1 in front of them. So therefore, it's a circle. The other one had 1/45th in front of it and 1/5 in front of it. This is a circle. So the other one, let's solve for y really fast. What am I going to do, Florian? Subtract 10x. And we've already solved for y, so we could just jump right into this one's going to be faster.
Yes.
Yeah. I always do the line. I always do the line. Because on the other one, Samuel, it was the top one. No, it's the one that doesn't have any exponents on the variables.
So like this one again.
We'll get into more complicated ones. I don't know this class once again. All right, so y equals negative 10x. I'm going to take that value. I'm going to plug it into here. X squared plus negative 10x. Whoop. Negative 10x squared equals 101. What's negative 10 squared?
Negative 100.
Positive 100. X squared plus 100 x squared. Dylan? There's no multiplying going on, sir. Guys, quit. Could you not laugh when I call somebody and they like Dylan's fine, I'm sure. He's got thick skin, but when I call on somebody, ask them to give an answer, and they get it wrong, giggling is not appropriate.
Bro, I love when
100x squared.
Trust me. I mean, if it didn't like hurt feelings and make parents call, I would more than happily bring up Aries so you guys could all be like, oh, I shouldn't have laughed. Yeah.
Could you subtract the 100 from the x squared? Or do they have to be together?
Well, they can combine. They're like terms, Aaron.
2x squared.
101x squared.
X equals 1.
If I said I had one cat plus 100 cats, I'd have 101 cats, right? This is just 101x squared. Okay. Now what do I do? Divide.
X equals 0.
101
1.
x squared equals 1.
X equals 1.
X squared equals 1, so square root both sides.
X equals 1.
Quit missing the other half of the answer. Yes.
That's what I got wrong.
I know that's my problem. That's what I got.
Okay, so now I need the other. So x equals 1 and x equals negative 1.
So now we plug it into 10x.
Yeah, so y equals negative 10 times 1, and y equals negative 10 times negative 1. So y is negative 10, y is positive 10. So I get the coordinate 1, negative 10, and I get the coordinate negative 1, positive 10. So once again, 45 seconds to a minute.
I get it.
Okay.
Martinez over here going.
Hey, Tim, do you know how to do that pop thing with your mouth?
I'm not going to put my finger in my mouth. I would just much rather go. I would just do it with my lips rather. No reason to do it with my finger.
I mean, some people could do it really loud though with their fingers.
Come on.
It's okay.
Song cool.
Okay.
I can whistle with my feet.
Any questions then? Once, twice, moving on to number 5.
So that's a circle, right?
I'm going to move you guys up front. I'm tired of the talking. Okay?
That's a circle, right?
Which one? That's a circle again, yes.
That's how I know
No,
that.
that's a hyperbola.
I'd be dumb to screw up.
That is a hyperbola
How do you know it's a hyperbola?
because it's got a subtraction sign between them.
So then that means it would be different.
What does a hyperbola look like?
So that one would be -1 y squared
Oh, yep.
and then +1.
Tonight.
I'm so glad my mom's like that. I don't care if I get it.
How many times do you want me to stay that late?
My mom hasn't went to my teacher conference since second grade.
That's cool. Well, then I make sure to not give her a phone call until after she's back. She's coming home tomorrow? All right. Okay. Yes. We don't need, since we're solving by substitution, we don't need to know what these look like. It's okay. I know what they look like, but it's not necessary at your level to know what they look like.
At what level do we need to
Do we need to be math?
Conic sections are covered in pre-calc and calc. It's just too much to be adding to algebra 2. Yeah. Well, I alternates. I have calculus one year, then stats the next. Although it might be going away. We'll see.
What calc or stats?
Both. 3y equals 4x. We're going to solve.
Why?
We're going to solve for either one.
Why?
Solve for x. Okay, we'll divide by 4. We want to get x by itself. We divide by 4. So x equals 3y over 4. I'm going to take that, and I'm going to plug it in.
Also, we can do it anyway. It doesn't matter if we have x.
No.
Oh, okay.
So now I'm going to get 3y over 4 squared minus y squared equals negative 63.
So then it'd be 6y squared. Or 9y.
9y squared over 16 minus y squared equals negative 63. Let's pull a trick on this one because we want to solve for y. So the last thing I should do right now, since y is on the left-hand side and it's in the numerator, is the last thing I want to do is get a common denominator. It makes too much work for me. Yes.
Multiply by 16.
Multiply both sides by that denominator. Let's just get rid of it. Let's make it so there are no fractions. Multiply both sides by 16. But you have to be careful. You have to be careful when you do this. That 16 multiplies to both items. It multiplies to this one, and that's going to cancel the 16. And it also multiplies to this one. So I'm going to get 9y squared when this 16 cancels. But then minus 16 times y squared is 16y squared. Equals, and then I'm going to have to do 16 times 63, and that's just what? We have 630 plus 6 times that's 360 plus 18. So we have 1,008.
Bro, this dude's a genius. Quick maths.
Let's see here. Let's just double check. 63 times 16. 1,008. I'm good. All right. Fantastic. Happy days. Huh? So, I don't like that 8. So let's go ahead and combine those. What's 9 minus 16?
-7.
Okay. Negative 7y squared equals negative 1,008. Divide both sides by -7. That's going to give me a positive number, thank goodness. Y squared is equal to, let's see, that goes in 1, 4, 4. Huzzah. Y is plus or minus. Thank you, Jaden. Y is plus or minus 12.
And then we plug it in.
Then we get our x values. So x equals 3 times positive 12 divided by 4. And x equals 3 times negative 12 divided by 4. So we're going to get 9. And we're going to get negative 9. So we get the coordinates 9, 12, and the coordinate negative 9, negative 12. Yes?
Go either way solving for the y or the x.
Sure.
So I solved for y.
Good for you. You got the same thing? You shouldn't have got the same thing. I'm lying. Completely lying.
Well, you did wrong.
I want to show you guys what a hyperbola looks like, so let's go ahead and take a look. Not hyperbole. Hyperbola.
Pretty good at the beginning with it.
It was x squared minus y squared equals negative 63.
Mr. Bates,
Yeah.
do you have tutoring today or no?
No.
It'll be a morning station too.
Wednesday and Thursdays we don't have tutoring because you have class, and then on Fridays you have meetings.
Yeah.
Do you teach a class or?
No. Go to class. Oops, I accidentally did full screen or something. Yeah. There we go. So guys,
Bro, I am gonna dunk it.
so here we have our hyperbola. Right? So our hyperbola, they face away from each other. And then there's where our line crosses it. At negative 9, negative 12, and positive 9, 12. Quit touching my board, Aaron.
Kids in China.
You have a question?
You just had to fight
They
it.
play basketball in Japan.
Yeah,
Bro,
they do.
50.
Okay, good.
Now, whether or not, guys, these problems are going to continue in the exact same pattern. Whether or not I finish the entire workbook page with you, the homework will be assigned tonight. And
Can
I-
you try 9?
yeah, sure, we can take a look at 9. We could jump to 9 really quick, then go back. So keep in mind, your homework are questions 1 through 20 in the textbook.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have to graph any of them?
Yes.
I'm gonna explode.
Yes. So go beg Josiah to print out sheets for you so it has the
I will do them on my own. I do not rely on him. He is the dependent parent. I am not. He is dependent on his printer. I will use graphing. I will graph every graph you have graphed. He can go use his printer and still mess up the problem.
Wait, Mr. Bates,
50. Back to it. Back to it. Model airplane takes off at a constant rate of 15 feet per second. Sydney, you're talking while I'm talking? Its height in feet after t seconds is given by h equals 15t.
Oh, this is the same.
So it's a line. H equals 15t. That's just a line. Starts at 0, 0, goes up 15 over 1. At the same time, a ball is launched from ground level with an initial velocity of 45 feet per second. Unnecessary for us. That has to do with why we got the formula later, but that initial velocity is built into that formula. They're just giving it as important information, but it's not necessary for solving the problem. The height of the ball in feet after t seconds is given by negative 16t squared plus 45t. So what we have is our gravitational constant and then the velocity that it's launched at. That's how that plays into it. Will the airplane and ball collide? If so, find the time for the collision to occur. So here we've got, like really quick, I just want to think about it graphically for a second. We're starting at time 0, right? So we have our plane and it's launched and it's going like that, okay? And then a ball is launched, and the plane just keeps on going forever for intents and purposes of the problem. The ball is launched also, but the ball is going to be like whoop, And we got to see whether or not it crosses. I don't know. Now, this is just a super rough sketch. They both start at 0, 0, so they technically cross at 0, 0. But after that, will they collide at all? So let's see. So we have h equals 15t, so we're just going to take 15t, and we literally plug it into here. Let's get it equal to what? So we can use, yeah, let's get equal to 0 so we can use the quadratic formula. But we actually don't even need to, and I'll show you how. And you were correct, Sydney. Subtract 15t. Guys, factoring is our friend on this problem. It makes our lives easy. Factoring is our friend. How can we factor the right side? No, so when you factor it, factoring is the same thing as division without actually doing the full division. It's what's common in both items. I could factor a number out, but it makes my life a little harder. 2 and?
Yeah.
Nope. 2 is the biggest number, but there's something else I could factor out. T. These both have at least one t they can give up. This one can give up 2 t's, but this one's like, but I don't got 2 t's to give up. Okay, well you can give up 1, and this one can give up 1. So if I factor out 2t, if I divide this by 2t, what would be left? Negative 8t. If I factor out 2t, what would be left? Positive 15t. No, just 15, sorry. Positive 15. Remember, factoring is division. Factoring is division. I'm dividing each term by what I factored out of it.
Since 2t can go into both 16 and 30, you're going to have what t left after you divide 16 by 2.
Right.
And then you won't have any t's left because you took out the t for the 2.
Correct. I looked at what's common about 16 and 30. What's a common factor? 2. 2 is the only common factor, right? What's common between t squared and t? Only 1 t. So what can they both get rid of? All right? Because that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at what can they both sacrifice for me. They can both sacrifice the 2t. So now, 2t equals 0, but that gives me time is 0. So of course, they launched at the same time. So yes, I already knew at time 0 they crossed each other.
Yeah.
But then I also have negative 8t plus 15 equals 0.
So it'd be like completely different problems.
Yeah, you separate them into 2 problems. This was actually something you did in Algebra 1, whether or not you recall it. Negative 8t equals negative 15. I was off on what time we got out at. T is positive 15/8, so yes, they cross at 15/8 of a second. So 1 point, whatever that is, 1.875 seconds they cross.
Okay.
Which is actually pretty close to what I did.
Wouldn't it be negative 15 over here? Or because it's a negative with a negative?
Negative over negative makes positive.